Hello everyone, welcome to DCKAP Integrator Foundation series. So this is session 6 of DCKAP Integrator Foundation series workshop, and today we'll be discussing about how we can check, fix and maintain integration workflows. So before getting started, let's have a quick recap. So last time in the last session, we have discussed how we can connect two systems. We saw like how we can connect BigCommerce, which is a e-commerce, and Salesforce, which is a CRM. So we tried to sync the customer data from BigCommerce to the Salesforce using a simple workflow. And we saw the logic. So let's say if a new customer bought something from the BigCommerce, so it will create as a lead in Salesforce. But let's say if that customer used to purchase from that particular store on a regular or periodical basis, so that will be created as a update lead in the Salesforce. So this part we have explored. So today we'll go one step deeper and we'll try to understand how we can identify the common errors while setting up the workflow, what each error means and how we can fix them, and how we can maintain our integrations. So to begin with that, when it comes to DCKAP integrator, so mostly the error will fall into these two categories. So number one is system related errors and another one is the API and logical errors. So when we talk about the system related errors, so it is like, whenever we connect the system, sometimes it is not reachable. So if that system is not at all reachable, the workflow will not execute. So all those type of scenario will fall in this umbrella, system related errors. So it can happen because server is unreachable, it is down, or it is getting restarting. There is a connection timeout error. Wrong system URL can be one of the reason. Firewall block, and also authentication server issues. So these are most common causes that can lead to system related errors. Okay, so when system related errors happen, how you can sense that? So you have the workflow and the system you are trying to connect, it is, let's say it's not reachable or it is in the maintenance phase. So at that time you will see your workflow will fail at the very first API step. So let's say if you have a API step at step 4, so it will fail till on the step 4. Okay, and you will get the messages like connection timeout or server unreachable. We'll see the examples in just few minutes. So when system errors happen, what we can do at that particular time, how we can solve this problem. So we can check the server status. Also, like correct base URL should be there. So credentials should be accurate when we need to connect the systems. We also must have seen in the previous sessions also, when we are setting up the credentials, so we used to do it in systems. So let's say if there is an error, so system connection will fail. Okay, and let's say if it is in maintenance time, or let's say if it is retrying, restarting, so we can wait for some time and then retry that system when it becomes available. So these are the things when it comes to system related errors in DCKAP integrator. The next one is API and logical errors. Imagine it like, you have a workflow. You have created the workflow and you have set up a logic. But somewhere there is a glitch in that logic, due to which you are getting in the errors that this particular step got failed. So it can be due to the API error. There must be something missing in when it comes to API, or it can be due to, like, wrong conditions. When we are putting up the conditions in AP response validation part, there, you know there is a possibility of error. Also, like when we are setting up key value pair, that time also, the error can happen. Or it can be due to wrong workflow design. So now you can see here API side issues. So it can be because of missing mandatory fields. So when we are setting up the API, sometimes we miss that. So there is a possibility. Wrong field format, mismatched ID, duplicate error. So let's say you have synced the workflow, but again you are syncing it again. So it will create a duplicate error in the logs. Okay, so that is also a possibility. And sometimes it happens that we unintentionally give the wrong API endpoint. Sometimes we do mistake. So because of that, it will reflect in the logs. So these are API side issues. Coming to the logical issues. So logical issues, we can relate it like that. So while we are setting up the conditions, okay, sometimes we can take wrong decision conditions. For example, let's say if that particular data exists, then follow that. If not, then follow this path. So sometimes we used to do mistakes while setting up those type of conditions. So because of that, the logical issues will persist. Also, we all know that when it comes to integration, mapping is like an engine for integration. So incorrect mapping. So when we match the field from source and in between the destination system, so the field should be accurate. If we glitch there, it will show in the logs. So this is another type of logical error. In fact, another logical error is like sometimes we assume some output, okay, but we are giving different input. So wrong input output is also a logical error. Okay. So remember one thing, every time when we are looking for issues, when we sync the workflow and we are getting some error, okay, the very first step is to check log. So it's like it will give you detail like what happened in that particular step or overall. Okay. So when it comes to API and logical issues, you will see that workflow run till API or decision step. After that, it will show some problem. It will show like the step failed, particular step failed. When it comes to API error message, it will show you the status code. So another finding is that what you can look in the logs is the status code. From the status code, you will get an idea what exactly happened. Okay. And workflow completes, but output is wrong. This is also the case. So sometimes, let's say we want entry there, but it doesn't happen because of the logical issues. So that is also uh, a type of logical error. Okay. So in that type of scenario, what we can do? So first step is we need to check the logs. Let's say when you click on the sync button and if your workflow is not executing properly and there is some issue with that, the very first step is to check the logs. After that, the next step will be you can check the mapping values and look for the missing field. If there is any, just add that. Then What you can do is you can check the logic, true, false conditions, and other conditions where you add key value pair. So these things also you need to check. And another best practice is that whenever we fix the issues, then we used to test it with the sample data. So we need to rerun and see if that is working or not. So these are about the errors. Now we'll show it in the workflow, how we can debug in the workflow, and we can make it to a perfectly fine state. I'm sharing the workflow now. So this is the same workflow we have created in the last session. Okay, so the logic is same. From BigCommerce, we'll be syncing customer data to the Salesforce. If the customer is new customer buying something for the very first time, it will create lead. Otherwise, if that customer used to buy from BigCommerce on periodical basis, so then it will update lead. Okay, so this is the workflow we have created. Now what we'll do is we'll click on sync now. So whenever we create a workflow, we should save it and then click on sync now. I have already saved it. So you can see here total 2 records and failed 2. Now I want to inspect that. For that, I'll click on view console. Okay, so this is like you'll get everything here. All the data, what actually happened in all the steps, that information will be visible here. So one thing to highlight here is that here you see two things, Beautify and Raw. Okay, the difference is that in the Beautify version, you will see everything. Okay, it's just that it's a clear way to show with the contrast so that you can identify like where error happened. But let's say if you want to read the full thing, the full information when it comes to the particular step, then you can also choose the raw thing. So for example, here, step 4, you'll see the full detail. Okay, what actually happened in the step. So for now, I'm using the Beautify thing and I'll check. So here, step 15, you can see failed entity. Okay, and before this step, here, I can see status code 404 or 404. So we now just saw like when this error appears, it is related to the either API error or the logical error. Mostly it is related to the API. Okay. Also, like you can open the JSON viewer, you can scroll down, and here you can see the message not found. Requested resource does not exist. So what we can do in this case, first of all, we'll see this step, step 18, step 8, because from BigCommerce, our data is going in step 8. Okay, so here, what we can do is, wait. So let's say we can also check the mapping. Okay, so here mapping looks fine. Okay, everything is mapped correctly from source and the destination fields. Okay, so we don't have to touch it right now. But here we are creating the actual thing in step 8. So we'll edit that and we'll see. So first we'll check the API. Okay, in the API, we as per the logic, we were working on create and update lead. Okay, search lead and then create an update. So search looks fine. Update also looks fine. Okay, so in create lead, you can see this endpoint. Okay, in this endpoint, there is a flaw. Can you detect that? So the flaw is here. Accidentally, we added additional alphabet D. So I'll remove it and I'll save it. Okay, now I'll go back to the workflow and I'll again save it and then sync it. Okay, so now we'll check the console logs. Here you'll see now also we are getting the error. Okay, so we corrected the API error, but now also we are getting the error. So logically, the next step is to look the previous step. Here you can see the status code. So now the status code is 400. We'll open the JSON viewer and we'll check the message. So here it says duplicates detected. Okay, use one of these records. So this is the message. Okay, that means so the customer entry is already there, but instead of updating it into the lead, it is going into create lead branch. To make you more clear, I'll just try to use this step A. Okay, here we set up the logic that, and here we'll check the conditions. So now condition thing is coming into play. So here we set up like, if um, the lead is there, if the entry is there, then create a lead. Okay, but here I'm updating it. I'm saying that response.records is false. So that means if the data is not present in the Salesforce, if that customer is not present in the Salesforce, then only create a lead. Okay, and in the update lead part, I'll also add one more condition is true. So meaning is that if the entry is present in the Salesforce and that customer is the prior customer, okay, in that case, just update the lead. Okay, so we'll save it and we'll sync it. So now we'll check the console logs and here you'll see 200 code is there. Also, like here in one step, you'll see that update lead. Step 8, option C, update lead condition satisfied. So this indicates that duplicate error part is resolved. Okay, so this is one thing. So these are the API and the logical errors. Now let's see some more errors, but these are in the form of screenshots. I'm sharing the screen again. So this is one of the representation of system related error. Okay, so whenever there is a system related error, let's say connection error or system is restarting or not available at that particular time, you'll get the error like this. Okay, so here you can see connection error. Okay, and the message is there. So this is what we have discussed. This is also one of the representation of system related error. It's in the raw version, you can see here. Okay. So in step 3, you'll see connection error, unable to connect to the system. Please verify system and credential details as system may be down. So we used raw method because we can read what actually happened in that particular step. Okay, so that's how we can check. And another is the API related error. Okay, so API related error you can track in the JSON viewer in the console log like this. So just like how we check for the duplicate errors, duplicate entity, so the same way you can check it like this. So here you'll see error and too many attempts. So this is API related error because we are making API requests more than the system can handle. Okay, the system can accept. There is a limit, okay, for a system to accept the API calls. If it exceeds the threshold, then it will throw you this error. Okay, so for every system there is a limit. For example, in this case also you can see here, the rate limit. Okay, so it meaning is that 150 API calls can be made in 4 seconds. Okay, and here you can see remaining is 0. Okay, so that's why this error appeared. So whenever this error appeared, so the solution is that what we can do is in our workflow, we can add a sleep step so that it will take pause and refresh the token and workflow will run smoothly afterwards. Okay. So also like this limit can vary from system to system and it also depends on uh, under what plan the user is in. So for standard plan, it will be comparatively lesser than the enterprise plan. Okay, so this is what API related error is about. Okay, so these are some of the errors that we encounter while setting up the workflow. Okay, so you can always try to debug, look for the logs first, and then try to see what exactly the error message is and how we can fix that. Okay, there is one more resource you can observe or refer to. When you go to the DCKAP Integrator website, in the resource page, there is a resource called Common Errors in DCKAP Integrator. Okay, you can refer to this, and there is a video also that will guide you what exactly each and every error is for and how we can resolve that, the common cause and how we can resolve that. So that is also there, you can refer to. Thank you for joining this session. Have a great day.